Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident of the pod DL.
Yeah, dude. I'm nameless.
Hidden.
Nameless.
Hidden in time.
I'll never know.
I'll never know you. Oh, I just did say your name, so
I
feel like...
I think that is part of the, now that you just said it, I think that's part of like parcel and what's the phrase?
Part and parcel?
Part and parcel for like the theme. Like basically like every drug dealer is nameless in that way. Like they're all part of a cycle. Part of the layer cake.
Are you trying to say that you're part of the layer cake? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I'm
you
saying,
look like you are with that new haircut.
Yeah, with the new haircut. But
until it grows out, you're going to be getting all this shit, by the way. It's constant.
I'm pretty sure my boss, did I tell you?
No, go on.
My boss was like, you look like you're in Train Spotting.
So he thinks you look like a heroin addict.
Heroin? Like,
I know you lost a few pounds, bro, but like,
what are you getting at?
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was a bit rough.
So mean of the guy. What's been happening?
No, not all that much, man. Not all that much. Just taking life a day at a time. Got my health. Not ill anymore, which is nice.
That's nice. How's your mental health? How are you doing?
You know, I've been sleeping with a neck pillow.
Oh man. Okay.
It's actually helped quite a bit. Good
so
sleep.
like just wrapped around.
Like, you know the airplane pillows that you think you can only use in an airplane?
Yeah, yeah.
I slept with one on accident once. And like, because Gil like threw it at me to like put away or something. And I just like slept with it. I was like, man, that was comfortable.
That's great.
And so now I do it and I don't sleep on my side. I don't know. This is so boring.
It's not. I love it. I love it.
Talking about sleep.
I asked how your mental health was.
But it's great. And then like, I would think this neck pillow thing has changed my,
you know,
life.
You can get like a full, like a proper pillow that just like wraps around. You know, you can get
but like, I don't even need one. I got my neck pillow.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, and like my shoulders less kinked because I don't sleep on my side.
I stop my partner from snoring because
I mean, there's like
something's got to help me at some point.
Put on, or maybe you can just get earbuds, mate.
Oh, you'll think this is hilarious. Yeah, I use the earbuds. They come out there during the night.
Yeah.
I decided the other day, I was like, let's try something different. And I was talking to one of my work colleagues, and they were like, oh, she'd bought her partner this thing, which is like an X, which is effectively like, you imagine like
an app?
No, sadly not. Like, just like, imagine you buy like two plasters, elastoplast, and you put them across your lips to stick your lips together. It's a thing you can buy. And
Does that help?
I was like to my partner, I was like, you are trying this.
But how does that help?
So apparently you're supposed to breathe through your nose.
Yes.
And when you breathe through your mouth, you snore, and it stops you working out the same muscle, so it makes you snore more. And it's like a vicious cycle. And apparently sealing your mouth.
You mean just taping it?
Effectively, yeah, taping it shut. Pretty much.
Right. I feel like it wouldn't work. But anyway,
I'll report back next week.
My question is like, why don't you are you like one of those weirdos that needs like complete silence to sleep?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh God, you would be.
Yeah, of course.
You would be.
You know,
so you can't even like get like one of those sleep masks that I have where you can just listen to a podcast as you sleep.
Oh, I could listen to like
puts
rain
me to
or
bed.
something. Yeah, I could listen to like rain or something.
I can literally listen to a podcast. And
but then
that
that wouldn't stay on me all night. That would like, because I roll around a lot.
No, it's like you can make it tight. You can make it tight. Just don't do it too tight and lose your circulation. But you can make it tight.
Interesting.
I have one. They're very nice. And now I have like,
send me a link on Amazon. I'll check it out.
To be honest, I was in like a state of sheer like terror and frustration at how long it had been since I hadn't slept. Like when I went, it was my US trip in July.
Since you hadn't slept.
Like my time zones were so whacked, and I was in LA, and then I was sick as well. So I had like a really bad sore throat, and I just like couldn't sleep for like 4 days.
Ugh.
And I was like 2 hours a night kind of thing. And by the end of like one night, I was so frustrated. I just bought like a year in my stupor, like a year subscription to Calm.
Oh my God.
Just to like, I was like, I'll pay anything just to get
me to sleep.
Just put me to sleep now. And I've used it like once.
Yeah, of course.
So
always. We get one free through work. I can't find my phone right now because I tell you what it was. It's like Calm, but it's an orange app. Headspace, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
And it does like meditation stuff. It's pretty handy.
Yeah,
like, it's pretty good. I'd prefer personally to just have like the rain noises, because that would put me way
Calm has that.
to sleep. Does it?
Ambient noises.
Can I borrow your
sleep
subscription?
stories? Give me my login.
Swap me, bro. I'll keep it.
I doubt they have like a controller around the same login on different devices.
Who knows? I mean, if Netflix are doing it, apparently Disney are now looking to do it as well.
I mean, those are big streamers. That makes sense. But like this little app,
Calm's. Do people use Calm? Let us know. Hit us up at Podcast Assemble on Instagram. Do people use Calm? Is it a thing? Have we been talking about this for way too long?
Sleep.
Guys, If you want to skip around, feel free. There'll be time codes in the description. Supplied as always by friend of the show and editing master. Is it master now? Master editor of the pod.
Editor.
He's no longer a Padawan. He is now the master editor of the pod, Mr. Matthew Bliss. Stick around. We'll give you all of his details at the end of the show. But also, DL, don't you just think these people should give us a 5-star review?
Of course.
You're here.
That's it. That's all I need to say about it.
It would be so easy.
Definitely.
You can do it in-app. Right there.
In-app.
It's right there. Just open your Spotify. Do it right now, and we'll stop talking about it. I promise you, we'll stop talking about it.
I don't think you will.
Okay, they've done it now. Okay, let's get back to this.
That was a bold-faced lie.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
I'm still rebelling. I continue to rebel.
How far through are you?
I think I'm on like season 4, episode 2.
Okay,
or something
that's
like
pretty
that.
Far through though. That's
I was in like season 2 or end of season 2 or 3, and this weekend I did some damage. Yeah, I got like 20 episodes left. I'm kind of like rushing through it now because I'm like I just want to get to Ahsoka.
Okay,
which is kind of annoying because like these are good episodes, but like I'm kind of like not really.
You don't have to rush it.
Getting the juice.
You don't have to rush it, bro.
You're not a big Ahsoka fan.
It's good. It's good, but it's falling into a lot of the pitfalls of other Star Wars TV shows.
Meaning.
Yeah, it's all right.
No, but like, give me more detail. Like, what is pitfall? Because like, I have my own opinions on what the pitfalls are.
Well, you tell me your pitfalls and I'll tell you mine.
I think my pitfalls are like, the biggest pitfall of Star Wars is it constantly has to deal with its own retconning.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Like, it always has to. But the thing about this show and David Filoni and Ahsoka as a character is like, they've played, creative retcon pretty well as far as like as well as they can, because he's been able to just like create his own shows that are completely in isolation via the animated series and everything else. But like eventually you can do that once where you hide like Ahsoka in 6 movies. So I guess you can do it twice.
Sure.
Because she wasn't in the prequels. It's like, why wasn't she? If that was his
probably
Padawan,
been,
right? And they kind of like hide that well by. I'll talk about it whenever we talk about Ahsoka.
Okay.
They don't really. She doesn't show up in the original, obviously.
Yeah.
And I really wonder. This is culminating in a movie, I believe, with her and all the other Mandoverse. Like that's what they're talking about.
I didn't know that.
And
you're real deep in this rabbit hole. Jesus, you're way deeper than me.
My point is like. I just don't understand how they're going to justify the fact that she wasn't in the next 3 movies as well.
Interesting.
Unless she dies.
What if she dies?
She could die.
That'd be an interesting twist.
Because it's like, where did you go? Like every significant moment in Star Wars history except for the shows.
Gone.
Yeah.
But then
I like her as a character though. I think she's one of the better, more well-rounded Star Wars characters, and now having watched some of the shows.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Like she's a bit of a stoic character, let's say that.
She's not in the originals.
Yes, and I'm hearing that's a thing. So people are a bit like, oh, this version, but then she's grown up.
No, I think that she's obviously changed. And there's things that have changed her. So
Order 66 probably helped.
Yes. I mean, that was, part of it. Not really, actually, but.
Execute Order 66. Yeah, I've been up to some fun stuff, man.
What have you been doing?
We have recently, a couple of movies, but I'll start with one. It's a rewatch. It's from one of my favorite directors. I think you've watched it 1,000 times, as many as I have, but it was Minor Veto week. The partner was like, watch whatever you want, and I was just in the mood for Shaun of the Dead by Edgar Wright. Like one of my all-time favorite rom-com zombs. There's a lot of them out there.
Zom
rom-coms.
Now there is. More recently,
of course.
Within the last 10 years.
At the time, though.
I don't think there was that many before.
Pretty original.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a small scale, but it like drips through that Edgar Wright sort of like sensibilities of like small scale, but doing a lot with a small budget. It's just so good, man.
Name 4 rom-com zombs.
I can picture one in my head.
Zombieland 1, Zombieland 2.
But that's only one though. You can't say that's
well, that's what I was going to say. Well, I
can
only name 3.
Warm Bodies. That's one that had that's definitely one. 100%. That's a weird niche reference.
It's a very weird name.
So that's 3. Yeah, I know. Right. The idea is that they're into the zombie apocalypse. They're way in the middle of it, and then they find out like way too far after they've murdered all these people and zombies have basically taken over that it's actually just a virus. And it's only effect that can be cured by certain things. And this one guy who has is starting to regain is some pretty boy. I can't remember what he's called. Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult. He's in it. He's regaining some of his thoughts and feelings, but people can't tell that because he just looks like a zombie. And he falls in love with the leader of the military's daughter or something. And it's a thing.
As a zombie?
It's really,
That sounds like a
really
shitty
fucking random.
movie.
It's so random. I have no idea why this is in my brain.
That sounds so bad.
I probably don't know how to do taxes because this is in my brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't have any other ones though.
Nicholas Holt's good in it though, as a zombie.
Yeah,
I got those 3. There's probably more, but Shaun of the Dead. You like Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, it's good.
We are at some point going to get onto Edgar Wright movies.
I'm down.
Once we finish with
I think I've seen them all.
Tarantino and
I think I've seen all of them.
Chris Nolan.
There's the World End one.
Oh, World's
World's
End.
End. There's
Hot Fuzz.
Hot
favorite.
Fuzz. I don't remember Hot Fuzz as much, but I'm pretty sure I've
It's
seen
one
it.
of my absolute favorites. Baby Driver. That's Edgar Wright. He was going to do an Ant-Man
Baby
film.
Driver.
He was going to do the original Ant-Man film. That was going to be an Edgar
Probably
Wright.
would have been good.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Probably would have been great. What else have you been doing, buddy?
Cheaper by the Dozen, 1 and 2.
Is that
Somehow Gail got a no veto in
twice
because I fell asleep halfway through.
Ah.
So she's like, all right, well, you got to watch.
I'm taking full advantage.
I already started the first half of the second one, so you have to watch the back half of the second one. So I saw the first half of Cheaper by the Dozen 1 and the second half of Cheaper by the Dozen 2. And let me tell you,
That
I
must be
don't
so
think I
confusing.
missed much. I think they're basically a similar story.
That must be so confusing.
No, it wasn't that bad.
All right.
All the kids are just a bit older. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
it was a long summer vacation. You know, like this movie was
like Stranger Things. They're all like 10 years old.
Was there a writer's strike in between?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't like the filming. You know, I don't.
Is
know.
it good? Would you recommend it? I've never.
It's a good Disney movie.
What happens in it? I have no idea.
It's just a family of it's a typical it wouldn't be one that you and your partner would watch, but if you had like a nephew or a niece or a kid, you'd watch it and be like, all right, this isn't a terrible kids movie.
They remake that with Zach Braff recently.
Maybe.
I feel like they did.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those.
Sounds like something Disney would do.
It's like something Zach Braff would
They're
do.
just like, let's tap the Zach Braff.
I used to
fan
bloody
base.
love Zach Braff.
You know what the overlap there is?
What?
The fucking Cheaper by the Dozen fan base.
That's
That's the Venn diagram.
the
The middle is Zach Braff.
Yeah, here you go. 2022, Cheaper by the Dozen, Gabrielle Union, Zach Braff, and a whole bunch
Zach
of people.
Braff hasn't aged that
idea.
badly.
He's done all right.
Because it's so long ago that Scrubs was on, and I saw a commercial for the Super Bowl with him and Turk where they pretended to be T-Mobile, whatever it was, and he looked kind of the same.
Did you ever watch the TV show about making a podcast that he did? And it was like
Sounds fucking boring.
so random.
Yeah,
it sounded
sounds-
nonsense as well. He's also got a podcast. He's doing one with Donald Faison.
I bet it's good.
I don't know.
I mean, as far as podcasts go, I bet they're
Didn't he
funny.
get cancelled at some point? Wasn't he dating Florence Pugh when she was like 16 and he was like
I don't know, but
mid-30s?
who knows if people it could happen to anyone these days.
It could happen to her.
Yeah.
Apparently James Gunn's getting cancelled again.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, old Facebook posts. So we had another one this week. Now we went to one of my partner's many cousins' birthdays.
Oh.
And that was short, by the way. That could have gone on significantly longer.
There's many
And-
more cousins.
So many. And what always happens is they always end up doing karaoke, but there's always like a TV on in the background. And the TV, this time it's normally sport or just like a film's running in the background. But this time it somehow clicked onto like ads and it was just cycling through ads and ads and ads and ads and ads.
Advertisements.
Yes, correct. Why? What else would ads mean?
I don't know. I just mean you mean like commercials? Or
Commercials.
okay.
Yeah, trailers.
Yeah.
And one of the trailers was for the Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington. Now, I may have been a little bit drunk and a little bit broken from tiredness, but I was like, that looks kind of fun. Why don't we watch the first one? So we sat and we watched the first Equalizer film with Denzel Washington.
I didn't even know about this franchise.
Have you never heard? You must have heard of it.
No.
So it's one of those franchises that you know is going to be bad because they have it blaring out, constantly advertised in my gym. Like constantly. My gym.
That's where they chose to advertise it.
Clearly.
This is
like a theme. Like, you know,
demographic they're going for. Like
completely.
meathead.
Not even
gym.
It's anyone they can get in the fucking theater. Anyone, like, please. I actually saw the numbers. The numbers are bad. It's got like a pretty big budget. But the first one, right? It's this small scale story. Denzel Washington's just this dude. You don't really know anything about him. Like, kind of, you get the feeling he's got some sort of military or like CIA background, but you can't really tell. And he's just in this normal life, living away. He works in like the equivalent of a Bunnings or whatever you'd call it in the States.
Yeah. Home Depot.
Yeah, exactly. Home Depot. And
what do you guys call it?
We have B&Q.
B&Q.
Yeah, I know, right?
So weird. It's kind of like the multiverse, how every country has a couple of franchises they're guaranteed to have. They're guaranteed to have like a franchise.
Hardware store.
That's like a big hardware store / home supply store. It's going to be some weird name that makes kind of sense and it's big franchise.
I have no idea.
You're going to have like, what's the other one? You'd have like...
There's plenty. So many.
Yeah, you're bound to have like a pay for like a
supermarkets,
like a Hallmark card style place that's going out of business, but has like those weird home designs for like moms that like arts and craft projects. You're gonna have that's Joanne's Fabrics for us.
Okay, I think we have Clinton's.
Yeah,
I don't know what the Australian one is. What's the Australian one?
I guess that would be more like Spotlight.
Okay, yeah, okay. And in the UK, we have multiple supermarkets: Tesco's, Morrison's, Sainsbury's.
Yeah, everyone's got a few of those.
Exactly. You guys got Walmart.
I mean, yeah, there's other ones, dude. Like there's the fast food that like no one eats, but is very weirdly localized to just your country.
Red Rooster here is a thing.
100%. What is that?
I have no idea what Red Rooster is.
That's what I was thinking of.
So one of my absolute favorite podcasts have this running gag throughout the whole how many 10 years whatever they've been doing it, and it's like they think Red Rooster is like money laundering, because like you go in there and there's never anyone in there,
and it's always in the weirdest neighborhoods.
The weirdest neighborhoods. We went out to Perth for a wedding. You remember a couple of months ago, and we drove by one in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, guys, I gotta try Red Rooster. Like, what is happening? Yeah. And I went in and like I took a picture of the place.
What is it? Just like a chicken?
Yeah, it's like not good fried chicken.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's weird.
What about like the pie face?
Oh,
do you guys have a pie face?
We don't really have. Oh, Greg's.
Yeah.
You know Greg's by memes, surely.
We don't have that.
Okay, right, okay. You don't have a pie shop? A pie is big in the States?
No.
Didn't think so.
No.
It's a random one.
We have like a chicken pot pie place.
Oh.
Pretty good.
You got Subway, though.
Everyone has Subway.
They do now, but it started out in the States.
Yeah, but Subway's like kind of one of those.
It's gone global. Yeah. So one of the reasons so there's two brands I really, really dislike.
There's no non-American thing that's gone global. Like fast food franchise.
Good point.
It's a pretty embarrassing thing to be the best at.
Well, we're the best at stealing other people's stuff and putting it in museums.
Not anymore.
Yeah, well,
the curve has dropped.
Yeah,
the bell curve is on the back end now.
Look, we've got way off topic here.
Yeah, sorry.
The Equalizer. Look,
yes. God, that's why I rabbit holed you. I was like, I don't want to talk about this movie
what
anymore.
What are you talking about? I'll be very quick. I actually quite enjoyed the first one. In all honesty, like it's just dumb, fun action movie.
Yeah.
And it culminates in like they're in this what do you call it? The hardware store in the States, whatever it's called.
The Home Depot.
Home Depot, for example. And he's using the environment and the things in Home Depot to pick off all the bad guys. It's actually a bit of fun.
So it's like an adult Home Alone.
Kind of, in a weird way. But there's fucking 3 of them. So I'm like, surely there must be something about this. So I quite enjoyed it. But it also...
It's just Denzel, I think.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Got a fan base.
But it also gave me an idea for yet another anthology that we can work on over time, which is just dumb, fun action movies.
Oh, God.
There's so many. There are so
many. Low on my anthology list.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, like...
I'd much rather do the Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, we're going to... Well, Edgar Wright. Directors Edgar we Wright love. First. Come back to it. Go and check out. We're most of the way through Chris Nolan now. We should really finish that at some point. DL, what's the last thing you've been up to this week?
The last thing I have been up to this week, that's really all I've done. I've continued to play The Witcher. Well, I think I will be doing that for the next 10 podcasts at least.
That's happening.
There's so much to do.
What's happened in The Witcher since we last caught up?
Since we last caught up, what has happened? That's a good point.
And it's only been like 3 or 4 days.
I upgraded my armor.
Nice. That always takes time in The Witcher.
Yeah, you got to find them all. Then you got to fucking do the quest to get the person to make it because you need a certain armor guy. God, it sounds so nerdy. What did I do? There was a really
you've had some really nerdy, like what you've been up to.
There was a really cool quest that was like about like.
Have you found the bear quest yet? Have you done that one?
No.
There's a bear quest and it's like in the middle of and like this is where I'm stuck on mine at the moment because I know I've beaten this bear like 3 times, but once you've beaten it, you get choices of cutscenes, so you got to pick a certain one. But there's only one that you can actually finish the quest on, so you got to pick the right answers, and you don't have a lot of time to pick them because it's that thing where it decreases. Quick. So I've beaten the bear. It's really hard to beat at the level I'm at. I'm such a low level, but like every time I beat it, I forget what thing I'm supposed to do, and then I just get angry and put it down and stop playing.
Fair enough.
I'm stuck there.
Yeah, there was a cool quest I did. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you guys. There's plenty of cool quests in that game.
I did play. I have
so much material for them to make a good show. How did they not do it?
Oh my God, I don't understand. They could just pick one of the side quests.
It's just they could use like as an episode. It's so shocking.
And not do bad dragon CGI.
It's so shocking.
Final thing I've been up to then is we obviously know that the Spider-Man 2 video game is coming out in a few weeks. That's early mid-October-ish. I can't remember which way. I'm replaying the Miles Morales video game, just for a bit of funsies, because I wanted to replay the original Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
played it too many times. Couldn't do it. So I was like, I needed to get my Spider-Man fix.
I mean, it is a bit of a repetitive game. Too.
Yeah, it is. But the first
that's the only complaint I have about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for that pigeon level where you got to catch pigeons and they're really fucking difficult to catch.
It's repetitive.
Yeah, it's repetitive. Yeah,
There's a lot of the same
pigeons. I do really enjoy it, though.
I actually found that part easy.
Just being Spider-Man.
No, it's a fun game.
You haven't played Miles Morales, though, have you?
Nope.
Okay, all right.
I haven't played it.
I am replaying it, and I'm very much enjoying it. But I'm back into it now. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, I just needed the muscle memory back, so I'm gonna get ready for the new one. I'm very, very excited for that DL. Hey guys, what we like to do now is we like to talk a little bit about things we've seen in our geeky sphere, usually on Twitter or Instagram, or is it X nowadays? Who knows? And send each other, and we can make fun of. So we like to call it Have You Heard? I'm going to make a theme tune for that at some point. We've been talking about it since episode 1. It's going to happen. DL, have you heard this week? Now, you know about my hatred of Liam Neeson.
Yes.
It's a passion of mine.
It is very much something you have not let go.
There are not many things I'm this passionate about. Not many things I'm this passionate about, and my dislike for Liam Neeson is way up there. Now, there was a report this week, and it was actually reported on by NME that I spotted, and I just had to talk about this. So, Liam Neeson has a new quotation mark action movie out, and it has been heralded, ironically, by the New Zealand Herald as the worst film of the year. Now, tell me, DL, like, in our new anthology we're just talking about, dumb action movies, should we start with this bad Liam Neeson movie?
The fact that you want to watch a Liam Neeson movie
do not.
Means maybe we should.
Look, finally people are seeing it my way.
I mean, dude, it's only been like 200 movies that are the same.
Exactly.
Apparently the Wolf one was good, though.
I heard the Wolf one was good.
And I never watched it because I literally was like, this is the 6th movie you've made that's like this. I don't care.
What's it called?
But it's apparently good.
Wolf Fight?
I forget. Exactly. It was marketed terribly.
Yeah, really bad.
It was like, let's just add this to the Liam Neeson. Like, him and Ryan Reynolds had a bit of a moment there where it was like,
they were in everything.
You just need to stop.
So with James Corden as well. Like, he was exactly the same.
Need to stop a little bit. Take a pause. Take a holiday.
Take a deep breath. Deep breaths here. Anyway.
Yeah.
Terrible movies. Man's awful. I just like the fact people are finally catching on to this. And this article, I actually read it. It's actually quite funny. And they're just like, bro, just stop. You've made the same movie
just quit.
For like 20 years. It's time.
I mean, how much is he making per movie?
He must be making a bunch. Did he get cancelled at one point for like being a racist or something? I'm sure he did.
To your point earlier, everyone's getting canceled.
Yeah.
You can't really like not get canceled. If you looked at my fucking Facebook post that I made private for this very reason, because I'm smart.
I think his was
I'm sure I've said some cancelable stuff. Anyone, if you go back far enough, has said some dumb stuff being young.
I want to see what your Facebook posts were.
Too late.
10 years
They're already
ago.
Private.
You've made it private. I can see your Facebook, can't I?
You would not be able. I mean, maybe your friends could.
I could, surely.
Yeah, but like my point is, you can just search.
You should kick me off your Facebook.
If some guy's gonna try and like find a tweet from me, well, I was never on Twitter.
Fair enough.
You get my point.
Well, anyway, DL, did you hear this week there has been yet another awesome-looking trailer for The Killers of the Flower Moon, which I know was on your list of movies you're most excited for
5 years ago.
Since we started the podcast.
Yeah, I did see it.
Talk to me about it.
Look, it looks.
I don't think it was that new, actually. I think it's a little bit. It
looks like
older.
most of the same stuff, but there's a couple extra scenes.
Yeah, nice.
Like the house blowing up.
I asked you this before. Can you give me like your idea of the synopsis of this? Because like,
I don't know, and I don't think like they've released like a high level one, but it seems like it's basically going to be like 2 time periods or like over a period of time. I could be making this up. That
I hope so.
You're basically oil money goes into Native American land. There's some kind of deal. A bunch of murders happen around that transaction, and I think they suspect that it was, one of the Native Americans that Leonardo DiCaprio is like engaged or married to and build a family around, and they're investigating that. But that's just my read on the trailer.
Sure. Oil money, people die, gets covered up. Yeah. FBI come in to check it
investigate it, and it's like, is he protecting her? Is he a part of the murders? I think that's probably what they're gonna like play with a bit, but I don't know.
It looks actiony, more actiony than I expected.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of long dialogue scenes. It's going to be 3.5 hours or something.
Scorsese?
Yeah, he makes long movies.
It's got to be at least 3.5 hours.
He makes long movies.
You were saying before.
I still haven't seen the fucking Irishman.
No, neither. God, we should do it like
it has to be done. But
I'm going to watch it. I think in like 45-minute chunks. Break it down into like I'll go over like 6 days.
I need like a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Actually, I just looked at my whiskey because I hadn't drank it for a month. I have so much good whiskey.
Haven't dranken?
I haven't drank.
You went so American.
Dranken.
Haven't been dranken.
I haven't drunk a thing for a month. So we should come over.
Let's do it.
Crack open some whiskey.
We should do our next podcast.
Watch 45-minute slots of The Irishman.
What we should do is we should do a shot of whiskey every 15 minutes of The Irishman.
Oh, fuck that. Let's just drink
We'll be
whiskey, nice, good whiskey, smoothly over the course of the film.
That sounds like delight.
Doesn't that sound much nicer?
No, I want to do that stupid college thing and feel awful the day after.
I would feel awful like an hour later.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be asleep on your sofa with your cat on my face.
And then you'd be like, you might actually die.
Yeah, I would probably die. Well, that's coming out on October 20th. I'm getting more excited for this. I think when you first proposed it to me, like I couldn't visualize it.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hells yeah.
Perhaps not news. Perhaps not news at all. But Loki producer says Jonathan Majors is the new Kang villain, is a big part of season 2 in Loki.
Interesting, because we talked about this. Like it
could have been just like, that's already filmed, we can't change it.
I'm pretty sure that's what it likely is.
Yeah.
But none of the allegations have been proven.
Hasn't stopped them before.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They literally canceled James Gunn for a tweet.
That's fuck yeah, that's true. From 15
this guy's
years ago.
Literally like got 15 women that he beat come out of the woodwork, and they're like, you know what, like innocent until proven guilty.
Come on, guys.
Like what?
They can just kill him off in the show, and then
like it's so ridiculous. Like actually, like I'm not saying that like I'm not taking an opinion. I'm just saying Disney is not consistent.
Yeah,
they're not consistent.
They're not.
They're not consistent.
Did you think they were gonna be?
I actually thought that Disney might be.
Maybe.
Like they've done such crazy things.
Maybe it's just slipped under like the hood or under the rug, because like all the stuff happening with the writer strikes, like apparently the sea level are just in turmoil right now.
Well, I think it's also like they're tired. Like I think it is partly.
Yeah.
For the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Their stock. Like, I just have been a long time buyer of Disney stock. It is the
same.
It keeps staying the same. Everything goes up, it stays the same. Like despite themselves, they stay. Like my point
despite
is,
themselves.
Like I'm shocked that it hasn't gone up. But like part of it is the last 5 years they've gotten into like woke politics, and it's pissed off a lot of their viewership. So I think maybe they're kind of just like, we're not gonna partake in him. Like maybe it's reached that point.
Fuck it.
Right? Who knows?
Interesting. I like your POV on that. I'd be imagine they're just like, you know what, fuck it. Just you guys do you. Just come back and tell us later. It's all right.
I do think that part of it's like, well, yeah, once it comes out, we'll decide what we do.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe
we're tired of like
maybe they'll recast
ourselves in the foot.
Maybe they'll recast him as a white man and I won't get as annoyed as when they recast the Little Mermaid as a black person.
Isn't Snow White like brown now?
I have no idea.
Like, not that I care, but it's like, Disney, why do you do this to yourselves? Just like, don't remake that movie. Come up with a new IP.
Yes.
Like, that is obviously going to piss some people off. Like, you're just not going to win that battle.
You're preaching to the choir.
Like, what are you doing?
New IP right now.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Speaking of superhero movies, did you see, I know you did you see that Aquaman 2 Lost Kingdom finally got an initial teaser trailer? And it's coming, baby. It's coming.
It kind of looks like what I expected Aquaman 2 to look like with the Vinny Chase. Like super CGI-y, like. Probably. Anyway, like I
still would rather watch that movie.
Yeah, I
100 times over.
Mandy Moore.
Wait, no, I mean the Vinny Chase one.
Yeah, Mandy Moore is like in it.
Was she supposed to be in it?
She's like a singer, isn't she?
I didn't know that.
I don't even remember what Mandy Moore was. That was the whole like plot line. Like Mandy Moore, Vinny was like, it was like his great white buffalo. And like he couldn't get over her, and he like tweaked out because she was in the movie with him, and he couldn't handle it.
Oh hell yeah, I remember that.
And it was like, Mandy Moore of all the chicks, what?
We should do.
I mean, like she's not even that.
We should do before that Aquaman 2 movie comes out. We should do a YouTube video or an episode where we talk about the run up to Aquaman coming out on Entourage. That will be our Entourage episode. That will be how we see off Entourage.
That could be our little
white
homage.
buffalo.
Homage to Entourage.
What did you think of the trailer? What do you think?
Look, I mean,
CGI mess.
Yeah, I don't really want to watch it.
Nonsense. But... Well, we had reactions from friends of the show. And thank you, friends of the show. Specifically, friend of the show, Reegs, who said, considering the reshoots and that it sits in a defunct universe, he just can't see how it's going to be anything other than, quotes, muddled.
Oh, undoubtedly.
It would
have been muddled without the reshoots. Yeah. It was the DC universe's like middle name is muddled. It's always been muddled.
Demuddled C.
It's like, in fact, maybe the more muddling might unmuddle it.
That'd be interesting.
In muddleception.
Well,
I don't know. But
Inception's muddled. Well, there's been various cameos by different Batmen that have been in and out and shake it all about and up and down.
It seems like they're just gonna like do this weird like slow goodbye to these characters,
and
like the worlds are kind of like getting merged, and then something. Yeah, I'm not that stoked on it. If I'm gonna be real,
bluntly honest,
if I'm gonna be bluntly honest with you, I would prefer to do something else.
So I'm actually going to be in London when this comes out. So this is coming out on December 20th.
See it with your mate.
Now this is the perfect timing.
Oh god!
Because the guy who is partly responsible for our rating for the show, which is Better or Worse than Aquaman 2018, that's who I'll be able to see it with.
Yeah,
I'm like so excited.
Do you reckon it will be better than Aquaman 2018?
Oh my god, I just don't know. I am so ready to be happy for one of these movies coming out.
Dude, this is not going to be the one.
This is not.
Why are you setting yourself up for failure?
No, I'm saying like this is not going to be it.
Yeah, of course not.
It's not.
That's not what I asked.
But the real question is, could it be the new Aquaman 2018?
Meaning it's equally mediocre?
It's equally nothing.
That's actually the most likely outcome.
I would say so too.
Moving on.
Yeah, guys, if there's any news you've heard that we haven't talked about, hit us up at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. You can send it to us. We will call it out like we just did. We love to call out you guys' stuff when you send it to us. We love it when you send it. Send us memes. Send us whatever you want.
Yeah.
You want to finish that thought?
I was just going to say, like, Red Dead 3, there was a confirmation. It's big news for me.
Do you think it's confirmed?
It's confirmed.
You think it's just them been like, guys, stay on the hype train?
2 decades?
Yeah, stay on the hype train.
Like, will we get Red Dead 3 before we get the Harry Potter series on HBO?
Oh, great question.
Or will we get the HBO series first?
Do you think Red Dead's going to be a TV show as well?
That's another good question. Will we get a TV adaptation before we get Red Dead 3?
They absolutely nailed The Last of Us.
That feels more likely.
They nailed The Last of Us, surely.
Yeah, that feels more likely.
And it's so cinematic, like, surely.
Yeah.
But which of the trillion side quests do they fit into that?
I guess, like, that's the cool part about that. You could just, like, make it a really long form
Game
show,
of Thrones style, just
like,
going on.
Yeah, and like it's just with the same themes, but it's almost like Monster of the Week some days, and then there's a slow plotting plot. Like, I would love to. That's a fun thing to adapt, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I think that we probably get Harry Potter and we probably get Red Dead
at the same time.
I think we get both of those before we get
killing every
Red Dead
moment
3,
of the day you have.
The movie or the game Red Dead 3. But
well, they're going to finish Grand Theft Auto 6 first, and that's. I know they keep leaking things from it, but that's surely years away.
Do you reckon it's a prequel again for the 3?
Prequel?
Because the second one was before.
What if it's a rebootuation? Hang on a minute. So Red Dead Redemption 1...
The first Red Dead Redemption.
The first Red Dead Redemption was not... Well, Red Dead Redemption 2 was the one... Wait, hang on. Because the very first one...
Yeah, it's a very difficult concept, I agree.
Red Dead was the original one.
Yeah, that one's like, its own... That's its own thing that's separate. And
maybe they remake that.
No, it's a shitty game. I hope not.
What I'm saying is as like a fully fleshed out world and game. So like they take all the concepts from the second two.
They could, but I think they might as well just create another story within the same thematic universe that is, you know, before or after. But I think it'll be before.
Or after. Or same time?
I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be a rebootuation, is my point.
I think who knows? DL. Do you want to preface our main topic for this week?
Yeah, like we love a movie that one of us
full stop.
We love a movie in general.
We love a movie.
We love a movie that one of us should have seen and hadn't. Is that what this is?
I believe so. I
is that a part of that?
Tagged anything onto this, but yeah,
I think
sure,
I should have seen this.
I mean, you absolutely.
It's totally up my alley. It's like a lot of actors that we like, good actors that were like before they were big. They were in this
way
movie.
Before they were big.
And so we watched Layer Cake this week. Well, I should say I watched it. I watched it because Tommy had seen it.
I've seen it so many times. So just to put a prefix around this, I went through a phase when I was probably, I don't know, 15-ish, maybe a little younger, when I was just so into these like British gangster movies. Yes. And I would just sit and I would just consume
a lot of Layer Cake.
A lot of the layers of cake. I was a fatty.
Yeah,
I was a fatty.
We were all worried about him for a bit.
I don't But I don't know how I managed to be such an Adonis in my later age.
He bicepped his way out of it.
This and Snatch were two of the ones that I would constantly return back to.
Yes.
So I'd watch 2 or 3 like random weird ones. Then I'd always come back to these couple. And I've just, They are just ingrained in my mind, and I just love them for that.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, DL, then, do you want to give me your stupid plot summary?
It looks like a Guy Ritchie movie. It smells like a Guy Ritchie movie, but Jason Statham is nowhere to be found. So I guess it's not. Anyway, we follow a book-smart gangster as he tries to go street-smart to varying degrees of success in Daniel Craig's Bond audition.
Nice. It's right on the nose, right on the money. Mine's a little bit simpler.
Okay.
Mine's just, every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. It's awesome. So, as you say, this is director Matthew Vaughn in his, interestingly, directorial debut. I really like that this is his first time. He was on the writing team and on the production staff of the likes of Lock, Stock, and Snatch.
He's the guy that wrote Kingsman and stuff.
He wrote and directed Kingsman too.
Or was produced that maybe as well.
But interestingly, this was originally, this movie, the script for this movie had Guy Ritchie in place to direct it, but other commitments meant he had to drop out. So Matthew Vaughn took over and he just took on this cinematic style of his own and became his own director, which I love that. That's a really nice way for him to sneak into the movie industry. But before we talk about actors, DL, do you want to guess for me the IMDb score for this?
7.9.
Ooh, it's 7.3. I would think that's kind of low considering.
I could see it. Like, I think people that aren't into gangster movies would just say this is another gangster movie.
Sure.
And they just rate it down.
That's true. Yeah. I'll give you that. What about Rotten Tomatoes then?
Probably higher, like probably 82.
Oh, it's 81. You're right there. You were almost a blind squirrel for 1 week. And then finally, Letterboxd out of 5.
3.75.
It's 3.5. So, they're kind of middling-ish. And I can see where you're coming from because, like, gangster movies, and specifically British gangster movies, they're a little bit of a unique, like, flavor.
Yeah, and they're very, like, you may disagree with me on this point, but they have a very similar tone and vibe, most of the ones that are big. Like the ones you just named, Snatch, I think they're all very, very good. Snatch is like, I think one of the best ones of all of them.
Similar producing teams, yeah.
Yeah, they just have a very, very similar like tone and flow and like, I guess like just in general, the comedic elements are very similar as well. I think like it's...
Yeah, the thing I do like about them is that they generally have a lot of actors who've gone on to really big things. So like you look at the cast of this, so for example, Daniel Craig, this was the performance that, caused Barbara Broccoli to look at him and say he could be James Bond, literally. Yeah. It's got Tom Hardy. It's got the likes of...
They're very entertaining movies. That's not what I meant.
Super entertaining.
Like I liked all of them.
George Harris's Morty, who you would know as...
Kingsley
Shacklebolt. That's right, yeah. Michael
Dexter
Gambon.
Fletcher. It's got Burn Gorman.
Gorman.
Yeah. He's been in everything.
Burn Gorman. I reckon. What do you recognize him from?
That guys.
What do you recognize him from? What's the first thing that springs to mind?
So many things, but a lot of like sci-fi stuff.
Interesting.
He's definitely in The Expanse. He's in.
Do you know what mine was?
What?
He was in Game of Thrones.
He is. He's that weird Bolton guy.
You are a bastard. No, he's the guy who kills Craster's Keep.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. He's in that. But
that is one of my all-time favorite bits of Game of Thrones, by the way. That
whole sequence?
That whole sequence up to the part where Jon Snow comes and saves all the wives. I just fucking love it. It's just so well done. And he's such a good bad guy.
Yeah.
In this, he's hilarious as well, by the way. Absolutely brilliant. Like, such a nonsense character. He's
just one of like kind of an idiot.
Yeah, one of the cokeheads who's just like trying to steal all the drugs.
Yeah.
So, DL, then, do you want to give us just what happens in this movie? What's the summary? Like, what happens?
I guess we follow Daniel Craig, who treats... whatever, but I'm going to call him Daniel Craig, who treats selling cocaine like a business, right? It's like he's franchising out.
He's ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and he basically realizes this is going to get big. It's going to get big fast, and if I don't do the drugs and I treat it like I'm running my own business, it'll pay off.
Yep.
And we're basically following him on his last job before retirement. He thinks he's about to be done. He thinks he's going to get out of the game. He's been doing it for a bit of time.
They pull him back.
He's a young suave, like he's still pretty young. He's not like one of these old geezers.
He's not been entrenched in it so long that it's all he knows.
Yeah, he recognizes that he could, with $1 million, live a pretty good life and get out.
Yeah.
Having saved up that cheeky $1 million, though, he gets called in by the big boss,
the big dog,
for a lunch, which is never really good. And he's got his crew around him, right? I think it's implied that like he basically has a distribution network as well for the drugs. Like,
isn't that Tom Hardy? I always get confused with that part.
I think they all like Tom Hardy kind of helps him with that part. Yeah. But anyway, we see him basically get pulled in for one last job where he's got to do two things. One is find a missing daughter of his boss's big boss, who's gone missing and basically is kind of a bit on the gear, and running around with a junkie as a boyfriend. And they're like, go find her. They think she's been kidnapped.
Now, that's one of the things that is pulled from every single one of these gangster films.
Yes. Also, very confusing what happened there.
Bit of a nonsense storyline. Yeah. Doesn't really aid anything.
It's like a trope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me, do we talk about the rock and roller? Did we talk about that recently?
No.
I think in our personal lives, we talked about it recently. And there is the exact same plot in that as well. Like that plot beat of finding the daughter. Yeah. Exactly the same.
That's one beat, and he's like, you should probably call the cops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he's like, I just sell cocaine.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
And then we get another one where he's got one more big job that he wants him to do. And he's basically got to buy a bunch of these a million ecstasy pills.
Something like that, yeah.
From this character that the Duke that like Daniel Craig's crew would generally not work with because he's amateur, he's low, he's lowbrow, he's kind of like the poor man. Like, I guess what would you call him? I'd call him kind of like the
he's normally the end dealer, basically, right?
Yeah, he's normally one of the grunt men.
Yes,
and he's kind of come up on this big pickup, and it's like, how did he pull this off?
Yeah, and there's a whole like well, it's not really a mystery. It starts as a mystery, but quickly unravels about how and why he has all these drugs and the fuck up that he, ended up in to get. Yeah,
he's kind of like the guy he's been forced to work with is one of these like bottom of the barrel criminals, not not anything like Daniel Craig, who's kind of operating at a different level. So he followed Daniel, and he doesn't really get a choice. That's the way this works. It's like you work with him or you don't. Like, So we follow Daniel Craig as he tries to kind of buy these pills, but doesn't really do it as a negotiating tactic.
Really want to,
He's like kind of like basically like, no, fuck off. Like, I'll come back around to get a better price. But very soon after, gets approached by a group of guys. And this is the part that I was confused on.
Sure.
Who do these guys? Who do these represent? At first, I thought they were kind of representatives of the Amsterdam crew. We find out that the Duke actually stole the pills.
Yes.
Later.
Well, we were going to get there, but this is full spoilers, so whatever. But I think if you're just talking about the overall top-down view of this film,
I mean like the Trevor and Shanks guys that basically...
The Scouse guys.
They basically confront him like, what the fuck did you do to Daniel Craig? And he's like, what do you want about? I didn't do anything. And that's how we realize that the pills were stolen.
Right. Yeah.
In that scene in the hotel room.
If you just like take a step back and you look like from a top-down perspective of this movie, like just before even getting too deep into the plot and where else it's going, this is such a stylish movie. Like from the very first scene, you get this whole new perspective, like Matthew Vaughn versus like you keep talking about Guy Ritchie. I appreciate they're very similar in like the story elements, but that first scene where Daniel Craig is like explaining how he commoditizes drugs in his head as like a business, and it's all these like
that's very different.
Yeah. Like it's got
the music score is different as well.
The music's very different, and how he uses motion in the film to like keep you moving with it. It's so interesting and so well done. For me, it's more stylish than a Guy Ritchie movie. I think Guy Ritchie movies have got like really beautifully shot scenes, but they're all real grubby.
Well, it's got a style, but it's not stylish.
Yeah,
that for sure.
Yes,
like a Guy Ritchie movie,
and it has similar like stylish like flares, like some of the movements of the camera and stuff. But it does definitely have its own thing. And one of the things that I think makes it stand apart is the comedy of it. Like, yes, it's kind of similar, but this is so dark and witty. You watch you watch Snatch. It's like, need to take a shot. You're like, yeah, all right, yeah, it's a shit joke, cool. But
there's so much going on in Snatch as well. Like, I'm just kind of like, I get lost too.
But. Whereas this, like, I personally equate it to like, the likes of Pulp Fiction or In Bruges. Not like they're similar movies, but like they have the same dark undercurrent in terms of the comedy. And like they're big movies to be related to, considering it's his directorial debut.
Pulp Fiction, I could see a bit. I think it's not as funny as In Bruges. I found In Bruges really funny.
I found In Bruges so funny.
But I do.
Does that talk about how broken we are?
No, I take your point on Pulp Fiction, where there's like a lot of like dialogue scenes where they're like, well, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's like comedy in the craziness of the situation.
Totally.
How it just keeps flipping.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you're never quite sure, especially in this film, you're never quite sure who's betraying who at any one point. The thing I really like about these types of movies is they're having a bit of a renaissance right now as well. Have you noticed that? Guy Ritchie started doing a few more of them. He did The Gentleman recently, and one that I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks. And I've forgotten what it's called. It is called Operation Fortune. Now,
yeah, I've seen the preview for that.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't need to watch it. Unless we carry on doing all of these films. We do all of them forever. Another anthology. 1 million anthologies.
I don't know if I can do it. There's a lot of bad ones, I think.
There are a few, so that top-down view of this film is that, he sort of stands out as a stylish drug dealer in a world of it's the layer cake, right? So you either have the punks that he has to deal with, like the Duke and Sydney and their family. He's in the middle layer.
He's kept himself separated from that.
Yes.
He's a higher echelon. He doesn't do the drugs. But he doesn't, where these other guys are like doing the coke and just fucking around and being idiots.
And he's not at the level of a Michael
Price.
Gambon. Yeah, or a Jimmy Price.
Price.
At all. Yeah. He's not there. But it's really smashing home that layer cake immediately.
And there is a bit of an foreshadowing in a lot of ways where you're like, Jimmy Price doesn't seem all that smart,
savvy
as compared to Daniel Craig. You're like, why is this guy his boss? I did have that vibe where I was like, this guy seems like more of the traditional.
He's just got money.
Yeah. Well, so we thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so we thought. And that unfolds differently. But I like the stakes of this film. It is very personal, the whole way through.
Well, and it makes sense.
Yes.
The reason why,
good for a film to make sense. Hey?
No, but I mean, it's believable. Yeah. You would believe that he may be doing really well. He's making a lot of money, but he could be forced into doing one deal that he doesn't want to do because he owes this guy all the things that got him here.
Yeah, exactly.
And he can't really not say yes. And you also, as before we get into how it all unravels, but you kind of empathize with every other character above him in the layer cake and why they can self-justify the things that they're going to do, right? And end up doing.
Definitely.
So I think the theme and the tone is quite strong in that throughout all the characters.
Yeah, definitely. And these are sort of
fates.
I think the characters in this are pretty well fleshed out all the way through, down to the likes of Kingsley Shacklebolt Morty. Great name, by the way. I think the first time I saw it, I found his story a bit distracting. That whole thing about, there's this whole old school of all the different characters and how they all came up together. But watching it back, I really get the feeling that is really fleshing out these sort of side characters almost that normally wouldn't get as much spotlight.
And I think the culture of being a gangster and how it changed and how you can change with it,
Definitely.
But you don't really get that much higher.
Yeah.
You're just another part of the layer cake. These guys have been around forever, right? And they're working for Daniel Craig, right? You think, it isn't this meritocracy kind of. It's kind of who's willing to do what and how long can you last after you do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How long does the money last?
How long does your life
Price.
last?
Yeah.
If you do make the move, are you just the next guy that gets got?
Well, I wonder if
that's maybe why they never made the move.
Definitely, yeah, and that certainly comes to fruition in characters like Jimmy Price. So do you want to progress the story a little bit then? So we're obviously flying through this.
So we we follow them as they're kind of figuring this out. The Serbians we find out that they stole the Duke stole the pills from the Serbians, and by association, he's been talking about how he works with Daniel Craig's crew. And it really doesn't make them look good. It looks like they orchestrated this. And apparently these Serbians are crazy, all ex-military, and they've sent an assassin named Dragon to
a great name.
Basically take, get the goods back and bring him ahead. And bring the big boss somebody's head.
There's actually a really funny piece of trivia about that. So that when you see the scene where the Duke is holding up the Serbians, the dude's actually Romanian. So he just speaks Romanian the whole time. Right? And we're just so ignorant as white English speaking humans.
Well, I don't speak Romanian.
Well, exactly. But he just speaks Romanian the whole time. We just go, yeah, that's Serbian.
No, but I think they talked about him as Serbians though.
What do you mean?
I thought in the movie they said they were Serbians.
Yeah, they are. Okay. What I'm saying is the actor, he is Romanian and he speaks Romanian the whole time, but we're just so whatever. We're just so blasé about it. We just go, yeah, that could be Serbian. We talked about this being the performance got Daniel Craig the role as Bond, and you can see it. Like, he's so suave in this.
He's suave, but he's not like this action hero in it.
Sure.
It's more the suave side of Bond, which is, I think, the harder part to pull off. Right?
Agreed.
Which is why it was probably a great audition.
And there's obviously that scene in it where he literally just does a Bond performance, and he's like, stalking the prey with his balaclava on. But I think it totally sets apart this movie from the likes of a Lock, Stock by having this one pillar that is just, even, just in his personality, is so far above like everyone else. Like, he's got a plan. He's getting out. Whereas you watch Lock, Stock, you watch Snatch. These guys this is their life.
That's what I'm saying. It's more, the cool part about this movie that sets it apart for sure.
Yeah, is
that it's more focused in what it's trying to investigate.
Definitely,
which is like, to me, usually a good foundation for a movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sienna Miller, though, criminally underutilized.
I was waiting for her to be involved.
I thought she was going to be a big character.
I was waiting for her to come back, and then I was like, surely she's not just going to be the chick on his arm at the end. And that's exactly
100%. I was like, I thought one of the twists was going to be that it was her who'd orchestrated it, not the Duke, something like that. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't know it was going to be that. I just thought like she would involve herself in a situation, and she would have more of a role in them, even if it wasn't like in the plot.
Well, any agency at all, really.
Like, she was gonna just like involve herself and be involved in the movie. She's how it played out.
Literally just the eye candy. There's definitely a role in this movie for her to be a bigger actual character,
for sure.
I love the realistic characters. I was joking about it with you before, like, side characters in movies now, they're fucking like Adonis, like The Rock, Chris Rock in the background, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always like, even the side characters, even the people who should be like little balding men. I love they just chuck in a bunch of these like British, like veteran actors. George Harris, prime example.
Yeah.
Coleman as Gene. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Gene, the guy who beats the crap out of Daniel Craig.
Yeah, he's good.
You just don't get that now. I was talking to you last week about a show we were watching called Kin. We haven't actually watched any more of it, but it is Irish set, gangster vibes. It's got the guy from Daredevil in it as well, and a bunch of people from Game of Thrones. All the side characters are just good-looking people, and it really annoys me. I'm like, if you're working in a crime syndicate, there's gonna be some like wigging out weirdos in there as well, right? There's got to be.
Yeah.
And this really plugs that point home with these just like solid character actors.
For sure. Even like Michael Gambon as Eddie Temple, where you're
totally.
I just loved his performance as this like guy who like comes in and like totally what's the word?
Sideswipes.
But he comes in like as such a juxtaposition to Jimmy Price, like more father figure, like
to begin with.
To start it out, and like really gets him into this false sense of security, right? Or we thought so, you think, when you're watching, but he like that came in, and it's such a contrast to Jimmy Price. You're like, oh, this could be the way out. This is what is more. I'm more like this guy. Well, if I'm Daniel Craig.
When you meet Jimmy Price, you are literally thinking like you said, like, why is this guy Daniel Craig's
He's
boss?
just so much more rugged and kind of like more like
proper
the guy,
Cockney,
more like the Duke than Daniel Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do think like, is Daniel Craig going to be the top layer of this cake? But Gambon comes in and smashes it.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that character, and I think Gambon's better fit for a role like this than he ever was like Dumbledore.
Yeah, I think like I could see him playing a good Dumbledore if he actually read. But like it's not like it's not about his acting. It's more just about like
there's a bubbling menace to him in this, like under the surface at all times. Even when he's been that fatherly character, there's still like a grizzledness to him,
for sure.
And you're just like, that could like snap at any
for sure
moment.
But you expect that out of any, I think, gangster,
of course,
that's at his space. It's more just like, oh, they can be reasonable.
Yeah,
it's almost like the way that I came away feeling after their character interactions, and I, to be honest, was quite surprised that he took it all. That was the only thing where I was like, I thought he was just going to take a bigger cut or something. Takes it all.
Everything.
Takes it all.
Every penny.
Yeah.
Well, you've sort of pushed the plot along there anyway. No, it's good. But like the plot sort of unfolds, and basically Daniel Craig is simultaneously trying to find a buyer for these, tainted pills, but he's also got, the Serbians on his back.
Yeah.
He's got Michael
and he's trying to find this daughter for some reason. I don't understand that didn't really service the plot much.
Not really.
That was kind of, I didn't get that. Can you explain that to me?
No.
Okay. So basically she was never lost and he kidnapped her, or he didn't, or he basically said he was trying to. It didn't make a lot of sense. It was I guess you know what it was. It was Jimmy Price. It was a drug addict's plan.
Yeah,
it didn't make much sense.
Exactly.
Maybe it wasn't supposed to because he wasn't intelligent. But basically, Jimmy Price, the big plot twist is that he has lost all his money in a Nigerian prince scheme.
Scam, literally.
Basically, the 90s version of this.
Seeing the presentation of that is bellissimo. It's beautiful.
Where like he invested a bunch of money in like a mine in South Africa and they stole it all.
Fleeced him.
But like his boss got him into this investment opportunity, Eddie, whatever his name is. Eddie Temple, and he put in like $500K, whereas this guy just put all his money into it, lost it all. And so what we find out as this unravels is two things. A, he orchestrated the stealing of the pills because he needed cash.
Yeah.
And he needed it like a big win. So he gets the Duke to go do it and basically pretends to set him up, not knowing what's up with the pills with Daniel Craig to be the fall guy so he can make a bunch of money and get rid of this dude who's kind of up and coming.
Yes.
All in one foul swoop. While also we find out later that he's an informant.
Yeah. And that was the bit that really got me when I watched it the first time. Like I like the fact he lost all his money. Yeah, fair enough. You can guess that because he isn't that intelligent. But the idea that he's also an informant behind this as well. Like, I mean, it is a bit of a cliche.
But it is, but I actually liked how it was used here because it's the motivation for Eddie Templeton's character to get rid of him. Yeah. And he sees this young up and coming guy and he's like, I can work better with him. Let's cut this layer of the cake out. And you can almost like see how with from Jimmy Price's perspective, you know, he probably wasn't getting as much money as he thought he deserved that whole time, which is why he starts informing. Exactly. Which is why he also can justify like how he's going to throw Daniel Craig under the bus because he's like, I never got what I was deserved. This is how it works in this game. It just, you can understand the motivations behind each character.
Just talking through this in a way that I haven't done previously, like the Rock and Roller it's the same film. Like
now you're on my side.
The same film.
You converted.
I do love the Rock and Roller. The difference between this and the Rock and Roller is like the main, there is like a main like central character who they're all originally trying to find, who is the son of the big drug dealer and is like a rock star. And he's this dude Johnny Quid, who is like
good old Johnny.
So good. He's an actor he's a bit of an every actor as well, like a bit of a that guy. He's in a bunch of stuff like Black Mirror and other things, but he is just so compelling on screen. Like it really like it levels that film up in a different way. So like Daniel Craig levels this up as in that smart, sophisticated. He's in that film like he's like a junkie, but he's like super intelligent and he just gets away with everything and he's fucking awesome. But it's the same story. The thing I wanted to mention quickly was I'm glad you talked a bit about the storyline with the daughter that wasn't really kidnapped.
I didn't really understand that, to be honest.
That's the thing for me that slows the pacing of this film down a little bit. Like it's this random aside and you're a bit like, why are we... Show me more about the characters. You know what I mean? Like, give me more time with these people.
Or make it a bit more clear. Like, it all happened so fast that I was like, so that was just pointless?
Yeah.
That was just a Shaggy Dog storyline? Like, no point?
Completely. The rest of the film's a clip, man.
Yeah. But, like, if they emphasized it more like Jimmy Price is just an idiot. This was a dumb plan. He's like a desperate drug addict.
Yeah, which he is.
Like that, then I'm like, okay, fair enough. But they made like, it was like, there's a lot of time spent on that little plot line. Probably 25 minutes worth of the movie, I'd say.
Which is too long.
For something that is so kind of inconsequential.
Absolutely. And like I like it. And I like your points. Like it certainly is a drug addict's idea of how to get himself out of a spot of bother, shall we say.
Spot of, but a $13 million spot of bother.
$13 million spot of bother.
Just get out. Yeah. Just stop.
Just be an informant for the rest of your life.
If I had 5, I had 2.
Well, it's greed, right? And have we talked about this, like the Pablo Escobar stuff? I always look at Pablo Escobar, and he had
just the power,
hundreds and millions of
power. That's like billionaire stuff, though. Like, that's the same thing.
Just give
once
up.
You get that much money, the power of it all. I think.
Of course, of course it is.
Can't stop.
One of the scenes I really love in this, and it's one of the probably best scenes, you know, I would say of a fledgling director's career, is the scene when Daniel Craig has decided that he needs to get rid of this dragon guy, the guy who's chasing him, and he hires one of the scouts team.
That's one of the best scenes
to come down
because it's so dumb,
and it's so dumb, but it's so well shot. And the misdirection I really like of it. So what happens is they're in a bush, they're waiting for this guy to arrive who they've never seen, so they're trying to. Daniel Craig.
Why was he so confident?
Good question.
The assassin, the other guy.
He was just super
I guess
chill.
he's also just an idiot. I don't know.
And they're sat in the bush waiting for the assassin to arrive, and with a sniper rifle trained. And then you get this, Daniel Craig goes, "It's him, go." And then you just see blood hit a branch of a tree, and you go like, "Oh shit, they got him." But then like Daniel Craig's phone's ringing, and it's actually Dragon on the other end. So like Dragon's like sniped them out, and the bait and switch of that works just really nicely.
And you had to know, like you knew it was coming, but even though you knew it was coming, the way it was shot like was still surprising.
It's so, but so well done as well. Like you say, like it focuses on Daniel Craig. Like that wide shot becomes quite narrow on him. It's really nicely done. And I like that. And then he's just got to run away. He's like, this dude's dead. He's like,
he just like leaves him in the bush.
Yes.
And then he goes back into his crew, and they're like, "You fucking are good at like the smart shit.
Stop doing that.
Stop doing the dirty gangster stuff because you're really bad at it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that rolls into action a lot as well, because I think the action of this, the real action scenes for me are few and far between.
No, I was trying to think of it. That was like one of them. There's the coffee scene, which is fucking funny.
Let's come back to that in a moment. The thing that I think the progression of Daniel Craig's character, like his arc through this, is that he does become a murderer, and he does really like get into that scene. He finds out that Jim is an informant, and that he's trying to put Daniel Craig's character away. And he has his James Bond moment, sneaks through the bushes and just like shoots the dude in the head. And it's that moment of like, pain afterwards. He's in the shower. He's like, holy shit, I just killed a guy.
Yeah. And I was like, part of me, I'm not going to lie, was like, that guy was not a good person. You can just take a Xanax and pass out. But like, the other part of me was like, I like that they're exploiting this. Yeah.
But yeah, like it must do like
just the
horrible things
just
to
the
your
gruesomeness of it all.
Yeah. Just seeing the light go from their eyes, like, oh my, blah, 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 dire. But yeah, like I say, sparingly used action. That's an action scene. There is obviously the action scene in the cafe when Morty, he's sort of like an enforcer. He's like one of the background characters, but he has this whole rich backstory about coming up with that crew. Yeah. And he was he was doing a job with another dude, and the dude fell asleep at the wheel of the van they were in. Yeah. And old mate Morty gets found in the back with a gun, put away in prison.
Because he fell asleep.
Because he falls asleep. Like, what on earth? So I really
did you notice that, like, why he got so mad? He's like, how about, like, he asked for more money. He's like, how about 10? And it's like the guy did 10 years.
10 years and he snaps. Was that what it was?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I thought about it after. I didn't rewind, but...
what I like about that scene specifically is that like he is like a level-headed character the whole way through the film. He is almost the voice of reason.
He fucking loses it
in this group of psychos who constantly simmering and bubbling under the surface, and then he just fucking loses it, and it's just so brutal. We talked about brutal last week, right? With some of the stuff in End of Watch. This is just as brutal, and a lot of it's from the perspective of the guy who's getting the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, and like pouring like hot coffee on his head, just fucking wrecked. Stamping his head. That's a coffee shop you can actually go to in London. You can genuinely
go. It is. Yeah,
go get coffee there. Same thing, same place,
same service.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can sit down, ask for 10. But I really like it. I genuinely really like it in the way that a Snatch or a Lock, Stock would, that they do use action, but they use it to emphasize a point rather than it being the point of the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there wasn't that much. There was like the runaway from the cops, the fake cops scene.
Oh yeah,
there was like
I like that scene.
That was a great scene.
Now, let's talk about that. So the story progresses.
Yeah,
and Craig's found a buyer for the drugs, and then he needs to cut out the rest of the Duke's gang. So the Duke's been killed, had his head cut off.
He needs to cut off the rest of the Duke's gang. He also needs to convince Dragon, who's not only expecting the head but also the drugs.
Yes,
that
the drugs are gone.
The drugs are gone. That he doesn't have them, and that it's not his fault, and that he didn't sell them. So he comes up with a pretty good plan.
Yeah, which is effectively to have the police take the drugs.
Yeah,
visibly take the drugs. The gang gets away, but Duke's already been killed.
Yeah.
By who kills him in the end? Is it Jimmy who kills him? I can't remember.
It's like one of Jimmy's henchmen because he's just like so over him. It's like he's so inconsequential.
Isn't it Gene? It's Gene, I think. Gene kills him.
He just it's not even Gene. It's like Gene's dude that he's with.
Yeah. Gene's mate's mate.
Yeah, he just shoots him.
Yeah.
First he shoots the chick, and then he just shoots him.
That's so good. So the money gets the drugs get publicly taken by the police, quotation marks. Yeah. The Serbians get the head of Duke, so they're all happy, and it turns out that the police aren't actually police. It's mates of Daniel Craig, who have been like, they're just fun blokes in the background, aren't they?
They're kind of just like do odd jobs for him.
Yeah.
They just work at a club, try and hook up with chicks. They're pretty just
really a bit trivial. We'll get to that in a moment. So what happens is then Daniel Craig takes the drugs up to the big boss, right? So Michael Gambon's character, and he just fucks him over.
Yeah.
And that speech at the end by Gambon where he's talking about the layer cake.
Yeah.
It's so terrifyingly brilliantly done.
I loved it.
I loved it.
It's a really good name.
Deep exposition, but at the same time, you're just like, holy shit, he's got some real like clout to him.
Yeah, he's got clout, and like the situation, if you were in Daniel Craig after all that work and you get nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so deflating that the speech actually in the context of that isn't that like absurd. Because he needs to what's his name? I keep
Gambon.
Gambon needs to basically convince him to accept this and not try and seek retribution, because that doesn't help him either. He wants to recruit the new Jimmy Price.
Yeah.
And so it's like the actual like monologue actually in the context of that isn't so exposition heavy, I think. It makes sense.
No, it really does. It really does. And I like again the simmering anger that's just bubbling underneath every word Gambon says. And if like Craig says a single thing back to him, he's like, know your place the whole way through. And you come out of it being like, holy shit. He was like a schoolboy getting told off by a headmaster.
Yeah, it was good. He's just
really,
part of
really
the cake.
great, really great scene. But it all comes out well in the end.
Or does it?
Yes.
But basically we're told that of course he's smart enough. He knew that he was going to get fucked there. And he already had a buyer, and it was the guys that initially he was going to sell the stuff to, the Scouse guys. And he hires them to take him out, basically. Does he kill?
I think he could kill him because the whole parade of cars gets
it
wiped
looks
out.
like it. And so he comes out scot-free with the money, and we see whatever you want to call him.
Bleep.
At the original, bleep. At the original restaurant that Jimmy Price.
Yeah, it was like a
it was like a hotel, restaurant, club.
Almost like a golf club hotel type thing.
Having lunch
Fancy
at.
Pains.
He's now there having lunch with his crew. Yeah. So he's taking over.
It's the same crew.
Yeah. With his
basically.
Chick. Yeah, he's just taking over as the head honcho.
Sienna Miller's walked in. She's now with him.
Yeah.
She's now the arm candy. She's come back.
Yeah, she's come back in the last.
She had a rest. She had a sleep for a few weeks. That scene's pretty cool though, where like Sienna Miller, she's like seducing him in the bedroom. She goes into the bathroom.
That's pretty funny.
To put on like sexy lingerie. She comes back and he's just gone.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
he left his jacket.
He left his jacket. But yeah, so like he's walking off into the sunset.
Yeah, until he walks down the steps of the front and goes like says something to the camera. Like, is it fourth wall?
So he breaks the fourth wall by saying something like, "If you knew my name, you'd be almost as smart as me."
Yeah.
And then it's Sydney, who is obviously the Duke's son, who's Ben Wishaw.
His nephew or something.
Who's Ben Wishaw, who is Q from the Bond movies.
Yeah.
Bond's back together, baby. Just runs up and shoots the guy.
And this guy is like a complete nobody.
He's been in the movie for like 5 minutes.
Like a grunt worker. Like a grunt worker of the lowest dealer.
But Sienna Miller was originally his girlfriend.
Yes.
And you're like...
And
jilted lover.
So you're like, what was it? Was it the jilted lover? Was it for the Duke? Like, I guess the point is, like, I thought the irony of it was like this, there is no glory for a drug dealer because like every one of them has the same no-name
target
outcome.
On their back.
Yeah. Like it's the same no-name outcome. And in this case, if you're too smart, you underestimate the dude,
the idiot,
the threat that could come from below.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't always like he really did a great job of it because he's smart, estimating the top end of the layer cake.
Yeah,
but the bottom end can get you just the same. Like I thought that was like a really great like put a bow on it ending.
And you all end up under the layer cake anyway.
Yep,
the same. I love it, and I had a great time rewatching this film. Like I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I forget the little minutiae details of it. Like you know.
Totally. What did you think about the tones and themes?
Oh man, crime is a microcosm of society. Like just that. I think I was reading a quote by Matthew Vaughn who was saying like you like walking down the street and you're probably just like one person removed from somebody who is involved with drugs, has had drugs, has drugs on them, and it is like. But like you look at any type of society, like the top guy shits on everyone else. It's literally that.
Yeah.
Like the top guy takes all the credit, all the money. You're like, oh yeah, this is definitely going on all the time.
I thought it was just like there's always a price.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing is free. Like you can treat it like
The illusion of
it's
control.
a business. That doesn't mean that it isn't, doesn't have a cost, right? Like play with fire, get burned, deal with the devil is just that.
Completely.
Like,
Success and happiness are like fleeting in this. It's almost like a fatalistic, cynical view of the world at all times in this film, which is like kind of baked into that dark humor in many ways.
Yeah.
Like you almost have to have a sense of humor just to survive in this world. I really like that. And like the illusion of control, all the things you're saying about like underestimating the bottom layers, but overestimating, it's got so many layers to it.
Yeah, it does. How about the line when like this just reminded me of it when he's like talking to Dragon first, because Dragon's like the assassin's like calling him.
Yeah.
And it's like early, and he's like, "Dude, I don't know this guy.
He's
like,
hungover."
It's I don't know this guy. Go away. Like it's like I don't work with them. He's like, "That's not what I heard." And he's like, "All right, well, how about we?" He's hungover in bed. He's like, "How about we talk about this hospitably over a nice coffee?"
Yeah.
Like, okay, that sounds hospitable. He's like, "All right, do you know where I live?" He's like, "No." He's like, "All right, then fuck off."
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's the way he delivers it as well.
Yeah.
It's so deadpan. It's like, then fuck off.
He's so just like exasperated.
Yeah. And the Dragon guy just does not fucking leave him alone.
Yeah.
It's so good. Love it. I love a lot of the... didn't really talk about the cinematography, we should have done, but like I love a lot of the transition shots in this as well. Like there are ones where he's like haggard in front of the mirror. He's been drinking all night.
And he
opens it to like, after he kills the guy, he opens it to, take a Xanax, whatever pill he takes, and close. And when he closes it back, he's ready to go for the day. Like he's snapped himself awake.
Yeah.
Some of the transitions sort of like moving time forward without really, like making you feel rushed. They work really well in the context of this film. What we do now then, DL, as you well know, but our listeners also know, is we talk a little bit about our 3 best and 3 worst for the film, which is effectively giving you 3 reasons why, if you haven't got them by now, 3 reasons why you might want to watch the film and 3 reasons why you might not. DL.
Yes.
What are your best?
Cast and side characters.
Yes. Definitely side characters.
Yeah, for sure. The coffee scene in particular, I liked a lot because I thought it was just like such a funny sequence, like
definitely
coming from not the brutal assault, but like the fact
hilarious,
that like the dialogue before it, like the fact that it like tweaks someone and then the story after, like it's just really good. And then I just thought that the tones and themes were pretty sharp for this one, and it was like it was a movie very in touch with like what it was trying to say.
Definitely, 100%. It's so unusual for a brand new director to have such a clear vision of how they want to say it.
Yep, for sure.
And my first one is nicely swinging on for that is Matthew Vaughn. Like as a debut, like holy shit, like who gets this as a debut? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just talking about it a moment ago, but like the style and the movement of the directing. So like the shots that keep the pace moving along, but also perfectly in sync with the rest of the film. So I was talking about the one where he shuts the mirror a moment ago, but like one of my favorite shots in this movie is when XXXX is going to kill Jimmy. Yep. And you get this shot where he's having this moral dilemma and he's just sat staring into space, and you zoom right into his eyes. And then as you zoom out, he's wearing a balaclava. It's like the change of one image to another or one, shot to another is completely seamless.
Yep. I remember.
And you just get lost in Daniel Craig's big blue eyes.
Steel
Love
eyes.
those eyes. Yeah. And the final one is that, it has a suaveness, and we've talked about this a couple of times, that other gangster movies of its ilk can't quite match. Like I can't think of another character Daniel Craig-esque in any of those types of films we've talked about.
Yeah. No, and I don't think you're meant to, because they're grubby.
Exactly.
Right? To your point. It's different. What
about worst?
The worst is a lot of tropes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I've
got it's trope heavy.
It's not like the worst. It's just like, it would have been nice to have like a couple of those be different.
Okay.
I don't know which ones. I'm not the writer, so I get to just critique it. Hardy, and I guess more of what each of them do for, Craig and like the actual operation of the Empire, and like give a little more time to those characters.
You want to learn more
than the kidnapping story.
Yeah.
I just say like that's what you change.
Send someone else to go and find her. Like who cares?
Or don't even make that a thing. Like just make it just like that. That's not a part of the story. That's not.
I don't think it's well explained. And I mean, it shouldn't really need to be. But like that fact, you made a really great point that it's a drug addict's like twitch. Like we've got to find a way to get money back. But like it's not well explained. Like you just think, what is this randomness?
Yeah.
Anyway, you're right.
And that's all I could really come up with.
I got the trope heavy thing. It is like I just explained how it's pretty much the same movie as the Rock and Roller. The exposition kind of annoys me. I'm never a fan of exposition in films. Like I get it, it's needed in some elements of this. Show me, don't tell me.
Yep.
And just that Sienna Miller was underutilized. I thought
that's fair. That's a good 3. I should have added that. Yeah.
She could have. Yeah. There's a universe where she has a bigger role in this, and it works, and it just makes the movie more awesome. So what we do now, DL, is we like to rate our movies, and we've got our own rating system. We don't like to do 5 blue steels out of 6 blue steels for Daniel Craig. We don't like to talk about 6 murder scenes out of 7. No. What we do is we just have a very binary system where we say, what is the most average movie, and is this better or worse than it?
That is true.
And as always, the most average movie is Aquaman 2018. DL, is this better or worse, and why?
This is better, and for all the reasons I already stated. The 3 reasons I gave you just 2 minutes ago.
It's not underwater.
Yeah. Not underwater. And when it is underwater, they're wearing the appropriate garments, not jeans.
Yeah, they're not wearing jeans.
The appropriate apparel.
Wet Thor.
They're wearing the right clothes for the job.
Yeah,
mostly.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think that's your problem with that Aquaman movie.
I can always come up with something new.
I would love it. I would say so. Yeah, I agree. It's better than Aquaman. Like the thing that would make this fall down a little bit for me is what you're saying about being too reliant on them tropes and not trying something a bit different. Yeah. Like I feel like there's an opportunity within the framework of having this awesome story and having these cool twists to be like, how can we, reverse a few of these tropes? How can we make it just stand out a little bit from its peers?
Agreed.
And Daniel Craig is the shining light for that. And maybe they didn't want to have too many differentiators from all the rest of the film so that he shone so much brighter.
It does feel like maybe Guy Ritchie had some writing credit on this, maybe?
Well, he was, like I say, he was originally supposed to direct it and he had to pull out.
I wonder, did he have some influence in the script? Because it's like the script itself is very Guy Ritchie. Whether style, you know what I mean? Like
very Guy Ritchie.
So I'd be curious. Anyway,
I mean, I would assume they had a similar writing team on it if Ritchie was, proposed to direct it. Anyway, DL, what we like to do now is we will wrap up. Tell me, DL, would you like some True or False trivia?
If I say no, are you going to do it anyway?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
It's a rhetorical question at the end of the day. You need this trivia. All right. True or false, DL? The actor who played Duke is Jamie Foreman, and he is actually the son of a notorious London gangster. Is that true or is that false?
Too random. Has to be true.
It is true. He was part of a London gang, and he was an enforcer called Freddie Foreman. So he didn't have to do a lot of acting in this. Yeah. It was kind of in his DNA.
He's got the name as well.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so the Layer Cake. We didn't mention this, but this was based on a book. Should probably mention this up top. Layer Cake author J.J. Connolly designated his protagonist as in his mind until he could think of a more suitable name for the character. Is that true or is that false?
True.
It is true. Ultimately, he decided,
I've done
that the character didn't need a name for the story because he was just as effective with that one. Fair. I think it's a great way to do it. Who cares what his name is?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I mean, I guess I think it falls into the theme as well, but obviously that wasn't purposely done.
I mean, originally it wasn't, but I guess it's one of those things that probably happens.
Melds, as you go.
I reckon directors a lot of times they get like a question from an audience member when they're doing like the Q&As and stuff, and it's like, "Do you think this theme was baked into this because of this?" And you're like, and they're probably like, "Yeah, sure."
I also think
whatever you want.
It feels like it's like the chicken and the egg. Like what came first? Like
100%.
Maybe like as he's writing this with the XXX, he's like, well, that actually works. It kind of informs his theme, and he leans harder into the theme.
Definitely.
Like it doesn't. You never know.
Okay, 2 more then. So when charming American girls in the bar of the movie, Cody and Tiptoes, you'll remember they're the 2 guys who fake being police at the very end of the movie.
Yes.
Are pretending to be the Earl of Oxford. Now, this trivia true or false, DL?
Precisely.
Yeah. This is because director Matthew Vaughn is actually a descendant of royalty. Is that trivia true or is that false?
It's false.
No, it's actually true. He's the descendant of Edward Harley, who is the 3rd Earl of Oxford.
Nobody gives a fuck.
They are literally, I don't think he's got any inheritance or anything, but they're making fun of him. Effectively, it's the short version of this.
That's
so like
good.
it's a cute little line thrown in there to make fun of the director. Final one then, DL. And based off what we talked about last week, now you might remember when we talked about End of Watch last week, it was a profanity heavy movie with the word fuck used 326 times.
Yes.
Now, DL, trivia true or trivia false?
Yes.
The F word and derivatives are used 200 times in this movie. Is that true or is that false?
That is true.
Actually 210. So technically,
so it is used 200 times. It's actually used more than
200 times, which is, I mean, brutal. Like classic one of these movies, right? I mean, ultimately, I still have a place. This has a huge place in my heart. This film.
For sure.
Like, and I think it probably always will. Same as Snatch, Lock, Stock. I can give or take stuff like The Gentleman, the newer stuff. I'm like, yeah,
Gentleman I liked, but again, the bit not as good as Snatch.
Yeah, I like the idea of The Gentleman. We should talk about it at some point.
I actually like most of the characters outside of Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, me too.
Like everything else was good.
Colin Farrell's great in that film.
So is the other guy, the blonde dude.
Yes,
funny.
Yes.
His whole sequence where he
and I don't really like him.
I like him, but I mean, like he's not been in that many great movies.
Wasn't he in what's that TV show about?
Well, you know, the fucking other guy's great as well. The like sleazy guy.
Not Charlie Hunnam's the guy we're talking about.
Charlie Hunnam deals with him though. It's a famous actor. I can't believe
Hugh Grant.
Yes, Hugh Grant.
I was like, who are we talking about here? I was like, yeah,
he's very good.
Hugh Grant. He's also in that new one I was talking about a moment ago, the something Fortune, which it's all right. Anyway, DL.
Yes.
Should we wrap up the show?
We should wrap it up.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking with it. We really do appreciate it.
Yes. A big thank you to you, Tommy, and everyone listening. And a big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you want to hire someone to edit your podcast, because you have a podcast as well, in that case.
Even if you don't, you should give him a call.
That's true. Head to Matthew Bliss.
He can edit YouTube videos as well.
.net. He does YouTube. He's a good editor all around. Book a consultation today. If you want to hear his work, listen to From My Home to Yours, an expat/repat podcast, where Matt and his wife share their experiences and advice for others moving to Ireland from Australia, or really just anywhere.
Moving anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Anywhere you move.
And you know what you should do while you're listening to his podcast? You should give him a 5-star, and you should give us a 5-star while you're there too, because you have got this far in our content.
Yeah, because you got this much time on your hands.
If you listen to this much of our content, thank you for sticking around.
5-star. In that case, man, I think that's the end. Signing off.
The end again.
Yeah.
DL, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It has. Thank you, Tommy.
Tally-ho.
Tally-ho.
Laters Gators.
Laters Gators.
I think
these characters
just cut it.
And like the worlds are kind of like getting merged, and then something's
that wasn't supposed to happen.
My ring just flew off. Sorry, listeners.
That's what she said.